Welcome to another edition of Tom's Real Food Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back. I am Tom Glover, the Keto Cook. Today on Tom's Real Food Podcast, we're going to be talking about what happens when you go to the doctor, who to believe and what to believe. We're going to start out with talk about some cholesterol, how they move the goalposts with numbers, just to get more pills for you to have more medications for high cholesterol, which means nothing. Also, we're going to talk about high blood pressure, also how they move the numbers, the goalpost, for more medications. Also, lastly, we're going to talk about type 2 diabetes and the medications that you get and why you get medications and how they also move the numbers. So the theme here is move the goalpost to keep people on the medications. Now, what I do in my keto lifestyle and what everybody else does on carnivore, or even if you're a vegan, trying to stay away from the doctor if you don't need to be there with numbers that they keep changing so you can keep being medicated is basically what I'm trying to say. So this all started way back in late 50s, early 60s, and it turned out to be with a doctor by the name of Ansel Keys. Now, he was the brainchild of the cholesterol movement. All right. And he sort of strong armed his way around the country about with some false records and stuff that he had. Now, this is just from what I read. There again, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but it affects me as far as my personal life and how I'm living my life. All right. Either taking medications that are totally bullshit or something that I really, really need to have. Now, I'm not bashing medications. There are medications out there that people need to be on. All right. But for just to get big pharma and people having another big yacht over me, over cholesterol numbers, is ridiculous, is what I'm trying to say. So what he did was he went around the country and he sort of pushed his theory about high cholesterol, how it caused cardiovascular disease, how it had was the main culprit for blockages. Started out with major bypass surgeries, and also big pharma jumping on the bandwagon with medications. Okay, to this day. All right. So this is the guy who was behind it. He made a ton of money for it. Big pharma backed him, and he actually strong armed some of his naysayers. All right. You got to read into it because it's an interesting, very interesting read. So basically, what happened was with this whole process, what they were doing in the early '60s and into the late '60s, the number was 300 was your goal. Okay, if you were 300 or below, you were in good shape. All right. They didn't even talk about LDL or HDL. That came on later on. Once they started discovering that the cholesterol ploy was starting to sink. A lot of people weren't believing it, or the evidence just wasn't there. And what happened was 300 was basically up until I think mid 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check here. I think it was like around 1968. The American Heart Association jumped on board with them, with Big Pharma, and they deemed eggs at the time. Eggs were the culprit. Okay, red meat, all high fat, butter, heavy cream, or anything that had a lot of cholesterol in it. Okay, or high fat, saturated fat, was deemed bad. So they limited in 1968. The FDA and the American Heart Association turned around and said, you know what? 3 eggs a week should be the limit because that'll help keep your cholesterol down. Anything over 300, you were considered to have heart disease, high cholesterol, and you were doomed. Okay, that's the way I remember the way they would say it. Okay, and then in 1970, I think it was 1976, is when they started changing the numbers. Okay, 76 is when they started with some of the cholesterol medications, but they didn't come really into play until 80s, late 80s, around 87, 86. But what they did was they moved the goalpost, okay? Because more and more people were aware of what they were taking in and the medications that they were taking back then. The numbers were starting to drop below 300. So what they do? They moved the goalpost, okay? So back in 1987, like I said, when the cholesterol medications really hit full steam, they turned around and again moved the goalpost because they did work. I mean, without knowing the side effects, most people didn't know exactly what the side effects were, and to understand what was going on. If you went from 300 to 240, guess what? You didn't need the medication no more. That was the whole idea of it. So what they do? Moved it to 240. Okay, so now people between 240 and 300 had to continue taking the medications or change different medications. All right, blood thinners and stuff like that. In that time period, then all of a sudden these bypass surgeries were coming in, angioplasty, all this different stuff to get rid of the cholesterol. Now, did people have cholesterol? Yeah, they did. No, I'm not saying that they didn't. Okay, but it wasn't from the foods that they were talking about. This is what the whole idea is. How they keep moving the goalpost and kept pushing. Remember back in the, I guess, mid '70s when they Olive Garden, Pasta Factory, and all these different places were coming into play. Pasta and salads, or bread, a lot of sandwiches, and eat a lot of bread. And stay away from red meat. Don't eat red meat. All right. Eggs are going to kill you. Okay. Eat the white. Don't eat the yolk. All right. So and then what they did again was then they moved the goalpost again. We'll get into that in a minute. But this was part of some of the advertisements that you've seen. Um, and it makes me laugh because there it is, Time Magazine. All right, everybody fell for this. All right, there wasn't too many people that were saying it's bullcrap. All right, there you see, the sad face, 2 eggs, limit your eggs, and definitely no bacon. Bacon is the killer. All right. I mean, it's heartbreaking to even hear that. Back in that time, actually, coconuts were demised also because it was high in cholesterol. All right. Don't eat no coconuts. So people were eating breads, pastas, all kinds of garbage. But the eggs took a real bad hit, almost like today with the price of eggs. Okay. So what do you eat? Okay. Dr. Mark Hyman. Now he is rails against all this high cholesterol hype and all this other crap like that, and he's 100% right. There's a handful of doctors that I can see that are on YouTube that are pushing about how this cholesterol is a myth. It always was and always will be. Our brains and everything works on it. Okay, so here's another chart. Now this is in our time. Now this is after 1987 into the 90s. People taking the statins and stuff. So less than 200 is desirable. Okay, anything between, I'm going to freeze this a minute. Anything between 200 and 239. Okay, you're in trouble. Okay, 240 or higher. Oh my God, what are we going to do? So then they started with treadmills. Then they started with, you know, what do you call the stress test? I'm sorry. Started with the stress tests and stuff like that. This became a thing. Everybody and their brother went and had this done. Stents became, and to this day. All right. So all hype. Was it all hype? But they didn't change the diet. They didn't turn around and really look into it and say, hey, wait a minute. You know what? Our bodies run on cholesterol. Okay. Same as it runs on glucose to a point. All right. But they didn't change the way we were getting our food. They didn't change what type of food we were having. So this all boils down to all this blockages and stuff like that. High carbohydrates, high sugar diet. All right. So if you take a nice steak and pair it up with ear of corn and potato, all right, and then finish it off with a cheesecake or an apple pie or something, all right. They blame the beef. They don't blame the other stuff. This was the problem back in the day. I can remember people saying, I'm going to have less beef. Can I have an extra side of pasta? Okay. All right. I mean, just completely crazy. So as you can see here, the numbers they switched them all out. 240 was the original one. Okay. Now they brought it down to 200. And from what I understand, now they would like to have you uh, well below 150 would be optimal. That would be the place to be. Okay. Now they're into LDL cholesterol. Okay. Especially on what I eat, and especially on carnivore, you're starting to see a lot more people with higher LDL. Here's the problem with that. They're testing this, um, people like us with the same standard test that they do for everybody who is on the standard American diet. That's what it's based on. All right. So they take a group of people and they do all these averages and stuff, and this is how they come up with the numbers. All right. Well, if you're eating this way, this is what your number should be. Well, I'm not eating that way. I'm eating totally different. So when I go to the doctor, my LDL, actually, my LDL wasn't bad. My cholesterol was over 200, which still wasn't bad. All right. But my HDL, the good cholesterol, was perfect. Okay. Triglycerides were a little high, but I understand that. I've been battling with that for years. All right. But it's what you put here. It's not the pills you take. And exercise and move around a little bit. That's the culprit right there. That's the whole problem. But they're not telling you the honest truth because of big pharma, big food. Big food produces the sugars and the high carbs, okay, frankenfood, and big pharma backs them up, all right, with the medications. So that's a problem. That is a major, major, major problem. So what's the other alternative to all this? Well, there's studies out right now that eating carnivore actually works, actually helps with all your numbers. Now, not a lot of people can't do it. A lot of people can't sustain it. All right, keto. All right, I've been doing this now. We're going uh, on and off for probably 7 years. Okay, steady since 2020. All right, going into my sixth year this August on YouTube since 2021, and I got myself back to where I want to be. Fell off the wagon a few times. We got into that a little while back, but this is the way to do it. Now, here is the other thing that drives me completely out of my mind, especially about talking about moving numbers. Um, right here, let me get this one up here. Now, this is a chart of I even with the cholesterol chart, okay, I can't find the ones from the 60s or the 70s. And if there is one there, it's a monkey board. I mean, it's got junk all over the place. But here's the problem. This always have been like 120 over 80, okay? But what they're doing now is it says less than, okay? They want it 119 over 79. They want it less than 120 over 80. Move the bar. Only moved it one numeral either way, okay, but still lowered it. All right. Why? They want me, a 70-year-old man, okay, uh, with my grandson who's 22, this guy over here, okay, they want both of our blood pressures the same. That's ridiculous. Okay. Oh no, you're gonna have a stroke, you're gonna this and that. If you can see where it says high blood pressure, hypertension stage 1, okay, 149, 159. That's where it was originally years ago. Okay, that was good. You were sort of in the green with that, and it went according to your age. All right. So high blood pressure stage. That's basically where I'm at now. I'm out between that and pre-hypertension. Okay. Now, I do take a blood pressure pill. All right. But here's the funny story about this. You got to take it. You got to make sure you're on that pill. Got to take that pill. Well, in January, I had a doctor's appointment. I canceled it. All right. So now it comes time for all my medications to come. So I went from 14 medications down to 3. And one of them is a blood pressure pill. So my blood pressure usually runs between anywhere between 120 and 140 in that neighborhood. So when I go to the doctor, they waltz me down the hallway. I keep saying this. Get on a scale, walk back up again, boom, sit me down, put the cuff on me, and do my blood pressure. And with that, the nurse shakes her head. Okay, we're gonna have to do that again. It's high. Well, what do you mean high? It's 135 over whatever, 80, 90, whatever. Well, that's not high. I'm saying that's, oh, no, no. Yes, it is. We'll have to do it at the end. Scare tactic. Okay. Doctor comes in, sits down. How you doing? Goes over the whole nine. I see your blood pressure is a little high. Yeah, my blood pressure is high. My cholesterol's high. And also my type 2 diabetes is high. I mean, come on. Why am I here? And what are you going to fix me in 10 minutes? So it's a game that we play back and forth. But is that the right number? Is 120 for over 80 or 119 over 79 for a 22-year-old, okay, and me supposed to be the same number? Big difference in that age group, okay? I think I have a little bit more wear and tear than he does. So why would they want my number there? Well, a guy like me, they want the number there because guess what? Put me on a pill. That's basically what it boils down to. Okay, and to me, I think it's a bunch of garbage. There again, I'm not a doctor. And I'm not telling anybody to do, get off your medications or anything like that. I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm talking about how they manipulate people, especially elderly. Okay, if you're don't know any better or don't do any research on it, and you go to the doctor, and next thing I seen a guy the last time I was at the doctor, this is God's honest truth. He had a Ziploc bag, and it was nothing but amber containers with his medication. I mean, a bag full. That to me is ridiculous, and has the doctor has the nerve to sit there and say that he needs all that kind of stuff. And I don't know the guy's situation or anything like that, but that's insane. That's completely insane that they would do. There's got to be a different way. Medications do help. There are people that do have hypertension. The blood pressure goes through the roof. Yes, they need medications. Okay, but normally they start you off with 4 different medications. Now I might get in trouble for this, but I don't give a damn because this is exactly what happened to me. I was that fella that was carrying all the bags around, and oh God, I was 50 years old, and oh geez, I'm in trouble, and I can't do this, I can't do that. Did I help myself? No, I was smoking. I used to drink pretty good, but the whole idea was until I stepped out of the circle and see what was going on. Okay, you're gonna be in that situation. All right, so that's with the blood pressure. They keep moving it, and they keep every couple of years they come out with a different protocol because guess what? We need you to be on more medications. I remember when I was in North Carolina, I was on 4 different blood pressure medications. I was in the hospital, okay, because I passed out in the middle of the yard. All right. Took me to the hospital. I get there. They kept me overnight. And I never forget it. This nurse was trying to stand me up to take my blood pressure because she was getting no reading. Once we got the doctor came in the next day, so it's a total different doctor from your family doctor. He's looking at my chart. He said, "No wonder you passed out. You're on 4 or 5 different medications for blood pressure. You don't need to be on all that stuff." So one's checking the other one, but nobody's both. They're both not talking to one another. That's the problem with our medical system today. They're not talking about what we put here because they don't have any knowledge of it. They're all backed by a big pharma to get the money, and big pharma works with big food. And until something changes or there's a bigger mouthpiece out there that's going to put a stop to this, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We're sugar addicted. I keep saying that we are sugar addicted, and nobody gives a rat's ass about it, one way or the other. Okay, so we got through that too, and my blood pressure's fine. Believe me, I'm not getting too carried away. But I'm passionate about this because I'm tired of being mocked about what I eat, how I eat, and it's called a fad, or are you going to die? You're going to kill yourself eating that way, and you should eat more beans and this. No, you should do your research and exactly see what's going on with our culture. All right. To turn around and think that oatmeal is absolutely the best thing to put in your body, you're completely out of your mind. All right. So here's one thing that gets me, and it is to do with my type 2 diabetes. Okay. Now, how did I get type 2 diabetes? Well, I was back in early 2000s. I was discovered to have bladder cancer. Okay. I went through treatments. One treatment was 6 weeks long. I was on my sixth treatment, and they come in to do my. They actually took my blood sugar. They stuck my finger, and that was the first time I ever done that. And I asked, why are they doing that? She said, well, because this medication can actually cause you to have type 2 diabetes. I mean, they were upfront about it. So, all right, let me get this right here. I'm going to stop this right here. Now, when you do get your blood work done, and you are a type 2 diabetic, they do a test what they call every 90 days A1C test. Okay, now that is your blood work up for 90 days. Right. So 6.5 or higher indicates you have diabetes. Now, 5.0 or below means you're clean, no diabetes, anything like that. So they usually go between 5.6 to 6.5 or 7.0, way I was told. Now, this numbers have changed. Okay. So this is the newer one. 5.6 to 7.0, what I was told back in the day was pre-diabetic, in between that. Now they're saying right here 6.5 is you're a type 2 diabetic. Okay. And I believe that. I think that the pre-diabetic stuff is a scare tactic, and that's the preliminary to getting your medication. Okay. That's how they start you out. While you're pre-diabetic, let's prevent it. Start taking this metformin right here, low dose, blah blah blah, and then it moves from there. Okay, and they keep going up and up and up. They don't ask you when you go to the doctor when you're diabetic. They don't ask you, number one, what'd you have for breakfast? They don't say nothing. What do you do for lunch? What do you eat for lunch? Supper, snacks. What do you drink? They don't ask you none of that. They just have take this medication and go from there. Then they'll send you to either a dietitian or whatever, and they're completely nuts to begin with. Okay, they have no clue what they're talking about, and I defy anybody to try check me on that one, because that's exactly where I feel about it. Fasting blood glucose. Boy, say that 3 times fast. Is let's see, a fasting blood glucose of 126 or higher, and 2 separate tests indicate diabetes. Now, that was anywhere between 120 and 140 back when I was told. Okay, now they dropped it down again. Why? More medication. Pre-diabetes. This is the one that cracks me up. Okay, anywhere between 100 and 125. That means you're pre-diabetic. So you're one number away from each step here. Okay, being a diabetic. So if you're at if you go to your doctor and they do a blood test on you, okay, and you're at 126, they're telling you diabetic. 10 minutes later, take your thing and you're 100. What am I? What am I? Okay. This is what I'm talking about, how they go about getting your medications. Making sure that you get on it. And the reason why you get on it there is because that's where they want to keep you on that medication. They don't want you to get off, because nobody can make any money that way. That's the problem. Now, here's the other one, age 20 plus. Okay. It says here fasting less than 100. Okay. So now this is the realm where I was when I was first diagnosed. This is what they told me. Okay. These were the numbers. Before a meal, anywhere between 70 and 130. I was told 170 to 140. That's where you should be. Also, after a meal, 180. 180 or less is what they're saying there. All right. Totally different what that other one said. Total different numbers. Okay. Before exercise, not that many people that are diabetic will exercise. Okay. But at least 100. All right. Bedtime, 100 to 140. This is what I'm talking about right here. That's now, nowadays, okay, that 140 number is bizarre. So here it says A1C less than or around 7.0. What I said before, that's where I was at, and they told me, "Oh, you'll be okay. You're pre-diabetic." I mean, really? So I'm trying to hold it together here without losing my complete mind. And Laura, that was on with me, she had a lot of knowledge about it, and brought some things up in it that we didn't talk about. She brought it up, but I didn't go any further with it. That really stuck in the back of my mind about, you know what? We are what we eat, really are. Okay. I don't like anybody making an excuse, well, I didn't know, or this and that, do your research. If you're not feeling good and you got to go to the doctor multiple times in a month, all right, because you got some kind of problem, all different kinds of tests, I suggest looking at what you eat. All right, that's a big thing right here. Is the medicine? That's what you take. There's no side effects. Okay, some people might have a peanut allergy or something like that, but most people eat clean and healthy, have no problems with anything. All right, I started doing that fire cider. Okay, because the flu out here in Vegas right now is running rampant. I keep getting phone calls about, from pharmacy and stuff to come get my flu shot and stuff. I'm good. I watch what I eat. I'm drinking tea now. See, oregano tea with basil, some cloves and stuff like that. Trying to enhance uh, my system so I don't come across any colds. That fire cider, you really check out my YouTube video about making that fire cider and using it. Whew, man, I tell you what, really works well. There again, I'm not pushing no medications. Don't do that. You need to go see your doctor, but ask questions. Ask them why. Why are you putting me on this? And what is the side effects? I was taking one medication a while back. It had 4 pages of possible side effects. And when you talk to see when you do that with a doctor, they always say, well, it's possible. Not that you're going to, but it's possible. All right. If you eat, if you're a type 2 diabetic, well, you can have sweet potatoes. No, you can't. No, you cannot. All right. It is, and just I watch other enablers on YouTube pushing that factor that you can have this stuff from a box, all this other crap. No, you're hurting yourself. So as far as cholesterol, uh, there's a lot of science right now coming out that's saying, hey, guess what? That is not the main cause, but you do have to be careful of what you eat and stuff like that to prevent it. Okay, but cholesterol is not the problem, and statins are not the help in my eyes. There again, not a doctor, not a scientist. Blood pressure. Check with your doctor again, please. I mean, you stand up, your blood pressure is going to go up. So that to me is mind-boggling that they would push the kind of medication on that, and they should know better to that point. Now, if you have consistently high blood pressure, then yes, then go it that way. But just to put you on a medication, and for the insurance company to say, well, wait a minute, he's 70 years old. My wife is 71, has nothing. All right, no problems, and they're pushing her to go on these different drugs. She don't want no part of it. I don't need it. I really don't need it. All right, everybody. I had to get that off my chest. And please wake up to the fact that when you go to see your doctor, okay, open your mouth. 10 minutes. If they can do your visit in 7 minutes, they're good. Okay, keep them there. Ask them questions. What? Why? How come? What's the side effects? The whole bit. If you go in there with an open mind and say, I want to know exactly what we're talking about here, okay, either they're really going to drill down and help you and say, well, you know what? Guess what? You don't need that. All right. There again, depends on the doctor and stuff like that. But 90% of them will listen to you. The other 10% will tell you, yeah, take a walk. I had a doctor fire me. No, I don't listen to your bull crap no more. You're done. I don't want no part of you, he told me. Okay. See you later. It's not a big deal. So, all right, listen, everybody. Thanks for watching. I am Tom Glover, the Keto Cook. This is Tom's Real Food Podcast. Hit that like, subscribe button, and check out Wednesday's video. It's going to be fantastic. All right, everybody, take care.